South African soldier killed in Darfur, Sudan, have arrived back home. Corporal Mxolisi Edward Mnyipika was shot during an ambush when around 50 troops were escorting a humanitarian truck, that is, 2 weeks ago in the war-torn region. Mnyipika's remains were handed over to his family at a military service at bacK Air Force Base, that's outside Pretoria. Among those at the short ceremony were his wife and 2 children. The African Union and United Nations have condemned the attack, which also left another SANDF member injured. The ambush came just weeks after President Jacob Zuma announced South African troops will withdraw from the joint operation next month.
We are really sending our deepest condolences to the family. It is an unfortunate situation. However, we as soldiers do meet similar circumstances. It's not easy, both for the Defence Force and also for the family members, especially those that were with Corporal Mxolisi Edward in the operations.
Well, with me in studio is SABC political reporter Aldrin Sampier, who was at the bacK Air Force Base outside Pretoria this morning. Aldrin, thanks very much indeed for coming in. I mean, it's bad enough for South Africans to see a dead soldier coming back home on a plane. I would imagine it's equally undigestible for family to see this. What was the mood like there this morning?
Well, it was a really short ceremony, and within those 5 minutes of handing over the remains to the family, very, very somber moment, and speaking to his brother, his younger brother, saying that the last time that they saw him was in January when he was here for his uncle's funeral, and they'd hoped to see him now in April, considering that the troops were expected to come back now in April after President Jacob Zuma made that announcement. He says that, listen, we understand that when a family member joins the military, you understand what could happen. However, though, they weren't expecting that this could happen to them. So definitely a sad moment for the family. The funeral is expected to take place next weekend, and we now understand that it will be a semi-military funeral.
We've got hundreds of those troops coming back home. They are opting to pull out of Sudan. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, yes, President Jacob Zuma made the announcement last month that the South African troops will be pulling out from Sudan. They've been there since 2004, and they've also joined the AU United Nations mission in Darfur. So we have about 850 troops in Sudan, in the Darfur region with that conflict. President Jacob Zuma made the announcement. No explanation yet from the president why that decision was taken, but some speculation is around the cost. It's estimated that since the deployment of the troops, it's cost something like 390 million rands that it's cost the taxpayers here in South Africa. But now we also understand that the Pakistani military defense force will now be joining in, or they'll be taking over the gap left by the South African defense force. There's also been some sort of criticism coming or leveled against this decision taken by the president, saying that, listen, the area is not as stable as much as you'd want it to be, considering that there were some attacks that happened about 6 weeks ago where about 30 people were killed as well.
And it's been going on for a staggering amount of time, hasn't it? It's the political impasse still there, while thousands continue to feel that insecurity. Again, no real resolve.
No real resolution coming out there. But earlier this week, actually, former President Thabo Mbeki managed to get the Sudanese government to sign a roadmap that towards to the cessation of hostilities, and then eventually had to a political discussion around a nation building, and of course leading to a political agreement as to the way forward. We know that there are different factions within Darfur, the rebels fighting amongst themselves, but also then fighting the Sudanese government. And we know the issues there is around economic marginalization and so forth. And you'd remember the deadly war between South Sudan as well as the northern parts of Sudan. So now this roadmap is on the table. However, though, there has been some criticism also leveled against this AU Commission-led roadmap agreement that has been signed by the Sudanese government, and these rebel groups saying that it endorses the vision of government and not the vision of what these rebel groups envisaged.
All right, one of many roadmaps in that area of conflict. We certainly hope something comes of it. Aldrin Sampier, thanks indeed.
Thank you.
Well, we'll take a look at more news coming up after the break. Stay with us.